Okay, welcome to our transformation town hall. We had our first one 2 days ago, and this one is specifically for our staff and our students. Next slide, please. First of all, I'd like to do some brief introductions. I'll introduce myself. I'm Lucy Avatisian. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor and the CIO here at UCLA. My role as it relates to the LMS transformation, I'm one of the project owners and focused on supporting the technology implementation as well as the program and change management components of this effort. I'd like to ask my co-project owners, Jan and Jeff, to also introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jan Reif. I'm a professor of history and I'm the campus special assistant for online innovation, and my responsibilities fall more on the teaching and learning side of the transformation.
And I'm Jeff Burke. I'm a professor in the theater department and the other of the program owners.
Thank you, Jan and Jeff. Next slide, please. So a couple of things, general housekeeping. To ensure that we have an informative experience, all attendees will be muted, and I believe you all are. You may submit questions via the Q&A feature in Zoom, and the questions will be answered live at the end of this meeting. All questions and answers will be documented, and answers will be sent to invitees. Also, we plan to post this or augment our FAQ on our website. So again, no raised hand feature is enabled here. We are just asking you to use the Q&A feature instead. A copy of this presentation deck and the recording will be available on our LMS website following this meeting. Next slide. Okay. We thought we would open this session with a very high level of a roadmap that we've put together to share with you where are we going. So I'd like to ask you to look at the key below. We have two items that we've highlighted here related to technical activity in light blue. The dark blue reflect the student go lives and faculty go lives throughout this journey. And then the yellow flags are the transformation activities that we would like to share with you. First and foremost, I'll talk about the 3 technical activities. On the left, we have this box that highlights where are we today and what are we focusing on. The first light blue marker there is the requirements gathering. That's what we've been doing meeting with every academic unit to understand the requirements and the uniqueness of these environments as we are focused on configuring the LMS platform. The next light blue marker there is the Canvas platform development. That's what we hope to complete by this summer and make sure that the high level configuration, the core configuration is in place in preparation for summer. Then Canvas basic configuration would be complete, as I said, sometime this summer, and we're aiming for early June. I'd like to bring your attention to the dark blue marks there for a student go live. We have a small cohort for this summer, and it's a very small group, but we'll be going live in this new platform. We have another select cohort that is going to be live in Canvas this fall. And then the goal is to have all our winter quarter courses offered via this new platform. So for all faculty and staff with winter courses will be live this winter. Some of the transformation activities that we want to bring to your attention. We sent out our monthly newsletter about 2 weeks ago. And then the monthly town halls, we kicked it off this week. Obviously, we had one for our faculty a couple of days ago. And then today, this is specifically for our staff and students who are interested in this transformation project. We are also concluding our dean meetings. We have, I think, one more left to introduce every academic unit to the LMS transformation implementation plan and all the activities, and then hoping to partner with every single unit and engage with LMS faculty champions and unit leads who will be very closely working with the core project team to help with as seamless of a transformation as we could have for every single unit on campus. The next yellow flag captures the faculty champion and LMS unit lead engagement. We hope to start that this May. And the focus there would be also to develop the course journey plans, and we'll talk about what those are. Then we will start offering Canvas training for staff and support starting June of this year. Course journey selection, whether the faculty members would like to use their courses the way they're lifted and shifted from CCLE into Canvas, or take advantage of this transformational program and enhance or redesign their courses, or completely reimagine and start fresh. So those are the offerings that we hope to support as we go through this transformation. Learning and design support will also start this summer for faculty and instructors and TAs. We will have Canvas training starting September for all faculty, instructors, and TAs in preparation for our winter go live. And then all access will be provided in September for faculty, instructors, and TAs to actually start logging into the platform, reviewing their coursework, and making the necessary adjustments for our winter go live. With that, I'll transition this to Jan.
Okay, we thought it would be useful, although we expect that most of you know what a learning management system is, to just say very briefly that a learning management system is a web-based software used by institutions, instructors, and students to access and manage course materials and to communicate about skill development and achievement. It's a place where faculty can communicate with students, where students can collaborate with each other. It provides access to centralized resources, and it provides a tool for implementing, assigning assignments, assessments, and gradings, and for students to be able to do the assignments built into the learning management system. So that's basically, we're changing from CCLE, which was a learning management system, to Canvas, which is a kind of newer, robust, and cloud-based learning management system. Next slide, please. The question comes up often is why we're moving to Canvas. They have a stronger set of tools. It's easier to use. You can have course templates. Provides a great deal of flexibility in terms of what can be integrated into it. And in the United States, it's currently the market leader in the LMS market. It's better suited to UCLA's future, not only in terms of learning management, but systems, but also with the kind of teaching and learning evolution that's taking place on campus. It provides analytics that the faculty members can use. It has 24/7 support. It's cloud-based, all of which allow us to provide a more robust environment. It's widely used. We have 7 of the UCs are already on Canvas, and at least 2 more other than us are looking toward a Canvas migration. This will facilitate being able to take cross-campus courses. It's also the learning management system used by the CSUs and the community colleges. For the CSUs, that's been very important for projects and opportunities we've done across the UCs and CSUs. And as many of you know, in fact, some of the students on the call may be experiencing this already, that all the community colleges in California use it. And so we're really following up with the learning management system that many, if not most, of our transfer students have used, and that it's increasingly widely used in high school. It's convenient. We can do all these campus partnerships I mentioned, and it enhances the student experience. It has a much more flexible mobile environment for students who want to be using the learning management system on their phone. And it's a much more kind of contemporary system to use. Next slide, please. And the question of why now, There are lots of reasons why now. The schedule that Lucy pointed out to you has a lot to do with, in fact, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And when we come back, you will be getting to choose which for the best practices, or the faculty will be able to choose which of the best practices from online, from in-person learning and from remote learning. My apologies for my voice, my allergies are acting up. It's a way of letting us bring together the best possible tools that are necessary and useful for faculty, students, and staff. And again, just to reiterate, it brings together it brings the students who are coming into UCLA a lot of knowledge about the learning management system before they get here. Next slide, please. And we want to emphasize that this is not just a move from one learning management system to another. So we wanted to just show you the vision statement. Part of what this is doing is providing a transformation using the learning management system at its base that will enable a world-class integrated teaching and learning experience for faculty and students that sets a standard for teaching excellence, academic achievement, and inclusivity, all issues that are really important to the campus. If you look at the guiding principles, and I won't go over all of these, but if you start at the left, that was priority number one. That the whole point of this was to prioritize pedagogy, provide a better learning experience, to use the tool to cultivate community and culture, to allow us an easier mechanism for continuous innovation. And that this is something that we can use for a lot of different things, including reaching out from the campus. Next slide, please. Finally, it's important to note that to achieve those goals, we have established a governance structure that involves the executive sponsors, who are the executive vice chancellor, the administrative vice chancellor, and the CFO for UCLA. We've created a steering committee, which is basically half faculty and half administrators to advise us on various things. We have an advisory committee that is a committee that's largely faculty with staff, and we'll be adding students to it. We have requests in for students to participate. And we have a software committee and the SME work groups that are working to make sure that all the technical features, all of the things that CCLE has to offer are continued to be in Canvas, and that we have a software committee to review and recommend the best kinds of software to embed in the program. We have a program team that's doing the heavy lifting. It has a management group, it has a teaching and learning group, it has a technical group, it has the organizational change management group, and you can contact anybody in that group with an email by going to lmstransformation@it.ucla.edu. And then we want to emphasize that this is a partnership with all of the academic units. We've been meeting with all the deans to identify who the academic unit leaders are, because this can only be successful if we're working with the faculty in the units, the LMS, the tech people in the units, the teaching and learning support people in the units, and then of course the other staff in the units that support every activity in departments and schools. Next slide. Jeff.
Okay, so here I'm going to pick up with a little bit more information on what's happening in the individual academic units and divisions. So the way the project is conceived is that there is a central technical academic communications and change management team, but a lot of the work with faculty and staff and with students as well is expected to happen in collaboration with the local units, the divisions, departments, schools, and so on. And part of what we want to do is provide as much support as possible to those individual academic units. This slide summarizes a bit of that. At the top, you can see the notion of an LMS faculty champion or unit leader. So these are faculty and staff members that have been selected by each individual academic unit, sometimes more than one in each unit, that are going to be the points of contact into the central project to advocate for the needs and perspective of faculty and the students and TAs and staff that they work with, and likewise kind of champion the project in the local unit, explain what's going on from a faculty perspective, and try to keep that connection made at the faculty level. Then the staff LMS unit lead will be largely responsible for the sort of week-to-week integration of the project and making sure that communications, technical needs are all happening and being communicated smoothly. A few other things that you see on here that are related to that are the work with the larger group of local support, which varies quite a bit in its structure from unit to unit, that will be connected by those two roles. And then the availability of training, not just in Canvas as a platform, but also in learning design and opportunities to take advantage of the platform to update the courses in as many cases as the faculty would like to do. And so I'll talk about that a bit in the next two slides. So the next slide just reiterates the key roles that I mentioned earlier, and the notion of faculty champion LMS unit lead, but also that we look at the kind of ecosystem of people that are working on Canvas to involve really at its center the faculty, TAs, students who are the users of Canvas, the staff who assist and help build out much of the academic material and support it as well. And these are all sort of key parts of the program. Rather than thinking of this as something that's happening off in the distance, it's conceived as happening in kind of tight collaboration with the individual units. And that's a lot of the work that's been happening so far. We can go to the next slide. So talking a bit more about what happens with those individual academic unit leads and faculty champions, and with the faculty, instructors, TAs, staff, and students who are working on the courses. On the left, I think, is the idea that these roles are really the points of communication and feedback in both directions. And on the right, that there are going to be some options and information that are coming for the broader campus community, along with the support to help take advantage of what's new and deal with the things that are changing. You can go to the next slide. So what each of the faculty are going to be asked to do is to think about, for each of their courses, what journey they want to take it on as part of this transition to Canvas, which is not just a project about IT implementation. It's also a chance to think through new ways of teaching and learning based on what we've learned over the last year, what we always had in mind for our course or just learning about, and take advantage of some of these resources to get moving on those changes where we want to. So the first option is lift and shift. There will be an automatic migration process that takes the last 2 years of courses in Canvas, moves them more or less automatically without intervention by the faculty member to Canvas, where they can be used pretty much with very little intervention, we hope, or very little editing. There's a significant process over the summer, not just to automatically migrate, but do quality assurance on those courses, make sure everything gets moved properly. But beyond that, there are options and support in the project to enhance the courses, again, based on features in Canvas or ideas for innovation that have come from the last year of teaching in new ways or thinking about courses in new ways, to actually redesigning or creating new courses or course series delivered in Canvas, but really thinking in a new way about the course itself. And we'll be reaching out to faculty to assess what they would like to do with each of their courses via a survey tool that'll come out towards the end of this academic quarter. We can go on to the next slide. All right, and so these are just some ways that, in addition to the town halls that are listed in the middle here, that we're planning to reach out to the campus community. So there is a website. There will be, and already are actually, newsletters and regular email updates, but also smaller conversations, chance to check in about the project on Slack. And we'll certainly be interacting directly with faculty and staff in each unit to get them up to speed and integrated into the project very quickly as we move forward with the project. You can go to the next slide. And to cover just quickly the types of training that will be available and reiterate the approach of the project, there will be both asynchronous, now that we know these terms, sort of asynchronous and synchronous sessions on Canvas itself, but also on teaching and learning opportunities. We're thinking specifically of faculty, certainly, but both Senate faculty, lecturers, adjunct faculty, how to reach out best to all of them, and how to work with TAs to support them in these course updates as well. So in each of these areas, you can think of things that are customized to the different groups on campus that we would be working with, as well as opportunities for online help and facilitated Zoom sessions that walk through specific aspects of training on Canvas. So you'll see more of this coming from the project team or from your local unit as kind of the conduit of information over the next 2 or 3 months. Can you go to the next slide? So this will answer one of the questions that came in the Q&A, which is who is in these cohorts. So this slide reiterates a little bit the schedule and strategies. So we're in the middle, at the top of this timeline in light gray of campus-wide activities. What do we need? What are the requirements? How are we going to get the Canvas platform stood up and ready for the campus? That's the design and build part, which includes integrations of tools that you might be familiar with from CCLE or maybe new tools that are pulled into the Canvas platform and then deployed. And then there are kind of 3 sort of cohorts to have in mind. One is that there'll be a very small group of courses that'll be offered in the summer in specific programs that had been selected because of the programmatic needs of those individual courses. And then a slightly larger group in the fall that includes new faculty that are coming to campus, and we want them to only learn one LMS. And then also a sort of smaller group of curated classes that are part of that early fall adoption. So when you see fall cohort, you can think of a group that's being supported in the summer to offer their classes in the fall. And then in September, around September 1st is a major milestone for the project when all faculty will have access to those automatically migrated courses in Canvas and be invited to really start thinking about how they're going to move their courses for the winter and from the winter forward into Canvas. So the expectation is that with a few exceptions, starting in the winter, all the courses would be offered in Canvas across most of the campus. And we can address the exceptions and details of that if you would like in the Q&A. And I think we can go to the next slide. And with that, we are in the Q&A and can talk about the things that have been posted in the chat. But we have first a few frequently asked questions that Lucy will guide us through.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Well, you're on mute, Jennifer.
So the very first question we have is for Lucy. When will I have access to Canvas?
Okay, so we think of access to Canvas in these 3 waves. The first is summer cohort, and we talked about that. Summer cohort includes 2 Masters in Health Administration courses that are offered this summer quarter, and the cohort will have access in Canvas in June. The next is fall cohort. This is again, a limited number of courses that meet specific use cases and will be delivered in the fall quarter. This cohort will have access to Canvas in July. And then the final wave is all access on September 1st. As Jeff just mentioned, all faculty will have access to Canvas with full support available starting October 1st. And all courses will go live in Canvas in the quarter that they're taught, beginning the winter of next academic year.
Thank you. Next question, Lucy, how do I load my courses into Canvas?
Okay, so we plan to automatically migrate existing courses from CCLE to Canvas. Again, this is 2 years of CCLE courses into Canvas. The migration will be managed by a third-party vendor called K16. Early in the summer, you will have a chance to decide if, the faculty will have actually a chance to decide if the courses will be moving as is from CCLE to Canvas, or there's interest to use one of the other journeys that we shared with you, whether it's the enhancement or a complete redesign. And then if faculty choose to make enhancements or redesign their courses, learning design experts within the project team, and also hopefully in the distributed units, will partner to capture and make these changes prior to the course delivery in Canvas.
Thank you. Next, Jeff, who is my LMS administrator or faculty champion?
This is a question that I addressed a little bit, but just to recap, you'll find out soon as the units are still in the process of deciding how these roles are going to be filled. And in fact, there might be more than one for each unit. For example, faculty champions from multiple departments are covering different types of programs within the unit. So the place to look for these are communications from your unit about who the points of contact will be, though they'll probably also be listed on the website and part of the way that we communicate about the project. So there'll be ways to learn through the central resources as well.
Great, thank you very much. Jan, question, how will I be trained on Canvas?
So I may kind of group the next couple questions together. There will be different kinds of training for different kinds of roles in Canvas. So we will have different levels, and we will, for example, give one kind of in-depth training to people who support the technology side of Canvas. We will be offering another kinds of training for the people in local units who are also advising on teaching and learning design. We will be, as Jeff suggested earlier, for faculty, it will depend a little bit in terms of whether you're just wanting to have the kind of basic familiarity with Canvas, the way that we did, and many of you participated in either giving these classes or workshops or consultations or taking them to familiarize people with how to use CCLE during the opening offerings of the remote classes. If you're looking forward to kind of, if you're a faculty member, and there was a question in the chat about what do we mean by faculty members? It's anybody who's teaching a course at UCLA. It's not limited to Senate members or to lecturers or to people who are coming in just to lecture one course, or professional participants in some of the graduate programs. We will all give them the chance to think about what they want to do with their course, and then provide the teaching and learning support as well that says, if you want to move, have your new course be somewhere between your face-to-face course and your remote course, that kind of support, or whether you want to redesign the course, that will be coming from a partnership with the program team and the learning, teaching and learning units on campus. The support resources will be available in a variety of different forms. And this is in some ways an answer to where will I get help designing activities, assessment, and course shells. The program team is working on templates that you might want to use for your courses. They will be giving instruction on how best to use it. And it depends, again, as I said, in terms of if you're in certain departments where you have a strong teaching and learning support team, you'll be working and getting that information there. If you're trying to design an online course, you'll probably be getting your main help from the online teaching and learning unit. So the notion is that we will have a robust set of training tools and videos and one-page guides that will make sure that you get the support you need.
Thank you very much, Jan. So I think you've covered several of our questions there. So we have 2 more remaining, and I'll ask Jeff to answer these. Who is on the LMS program team, and what if I have more questions? Who do I contact?
Great. So the program team, we've tried to staff as much as possible from people at UCLA and in the UC system. So I think the last number that I saw was about 80% coming from UCLA, as well as the rest of the UC system, and then others that have been hired externally. If you go to the project website, there's a list of the different members of the program team and more information on the project structure, or we can answer a bit of that in the Q&A now if there's more that you'd like to know. And indeed, that website is probably the best starting point to ask questions or contact the team. There's also an email address that's been shared earlier, lmstransformation@it.ucla.edu. And those 2 points of contact will get you to the other ways to get in touch, so Slack and other things as well. So I think that's the end of the prepared questions, and then we have more in the chat.
Great. So we can go ahead and close out our presentation right now. We'll just go through those in chat. All right, the first one here, what is the cost per student to deploy Canvas at UCLA?
So I can take that. So a quick sort of back of the napkin calculation is on the order of about $375 per student. But the way that, I've come to think about the project coming from a little bit from outside the learning management system and IT programs before, is you're actually talking about an IT system that touches many more people. So all of our faculty, all the staff that are supporting them, the many users of collaboration sites, and so on. And so I'm not sure that I would define the cost that way. The way to think about it is it's about a $17 million estimated budget for the program for something that touches all of the academic users and many of the non-academic users on campus. So happy to talk more about those details if it's helpful.
Great, thank you very much. We have one here, but I'm going to break it up. The first one is Canvas built on Moodle? And does it support MS Word document importing for exams, or do I import my exams in text into Canvas? And are exams I created in CCLE able to be imported as is with JPEGs and photos into Canvas?
The quick answer is yes. If you have special concerns, this will be something that we'll be going over in greater detail. How to use the various tools in Canvas, how to make all these things work the way you did. For example, you didn't ask the question, but it's perhaps implied, Turnitin will be available on Canvas. So all the ways that people have taken advantage of Turnitin for assignments and writing are also going to be there. So we'll be happy to talk more specifically with you, but it should behave in terms of these kinds of questions the way Moodle behaves.
Great, thank you. Next question.
I didn't really answer. No, it's not built on Moodle. They're two very different platforms.
Thank you, Jan. Next question. The library currently links research guides to many classes in CCLE. Will these links be automatically migrated? Are there things librarians will need to do to make them compatible with Canvas?
I should probably answer this one. The answer is yes, Mickey, the links will be there. And we've already started talking about that. And you should probably be aware as well that we've been working with Todd Grappone to put together a group within the library to look at all the ways in which the librarians need to be trained, how these materials are being imported, and anything else that the vast number of people in the library who make things happen on campus are part of this project.
Great, thank you very much, Jan. The next one, this is a major undertaking and sounds like a good move for the campus. Thanks. Can you share the concerns you heard from the faculty session? For those of us who support faculty, some of whom may be less motivated to innovate, it would be helpful to hear what they are saying concerned about and need help with.
I can try to answer that, although most of the conversations that we've had so far have been with academic unit leadership, and the faculty Q&A. There were a few questions about what can be done, the types of questions that were earlier in the session here. What can be done in Canvas? Are there similar features that are available in CCLE? So I think we're still, at least from my perspective, we're still learning about where the biggest questions and concerns are across the individual units. And they vary quite a bit depending on the type of program, from something about a specific tool or feature, is it going to continue to be available, or something they've seen that they'd like to incorporate. There was a question I think that Leah asked about archival that's come up as well that I tried to answer in the chat. So I think you're seeing in the session those questions already. I think Jan may have more from other teaching and learning conversations with faculty, but I think we're at the very beginning of kind of assessing that and trying to prepare the training and support material.
Yes. I'm not sure there's a whole lot to add here, except that we are working with all the learning and support groups on campus to find the best way to deal with this. The support will come in different ways depending where the faculty are located, and how we're working on creating teams so that the more tech support people will be involved in understanding this as well. And I think it's kind of, we're still looking for suggestions if you have specific concerns and you have ideas, because we've thought of a lot and the deans have shared other things with us, and faculty have shared other things with us, but if you have specific concerns, we definitely would like to hear about them so we can address them before they become issues.
Thank you. All right. How does Canvas assure student record confidentiality FERPA?
So the quick answer is Canvas has been vetted by all the campus privacy people for the way it's been dealing with it. We've actually had a conversation even earlier this morning where we have to worry about HIPAA issues for certain kinds of classes. It's important to note that student grades, information, and so on will remain part of the central campus data pools. We will not be moving any of the more private information about students into Canvas. Rather, they will stay in the data lake and where they belong, where they are now. So it will be treated very much the way CCLE is doing it, with some extra new attention on HIPAA issues.
All right, great, thank you. Will the same type of admin access remain in Canvas to those who currently have admin access in CCLE today?
It's probably worth mentioning. I'll give you the simple answer and then Lucy may want to elaborate on this. That Canvas has a different structure than CCLE. So it has sub-accounts embedded in it. And so there will be a campus account and there will have, some people will have admin access to that, but then there will be sub-accounts for schools, programs, sometimes departments, and there will be admin account permissions that belong to each of those sub-accounts. So in terms of in CCLE, where if you're an admin, you're an admin to every class, the admins will have you will have the admin privileges in the units you're supporting. I don't know, Lucy, do you want to add to that?
No, I think you did a great job, Jan, explaining it. And this is the one of the benefits of the platform, the robust configuration capabilities, that we will have a campus-wide level administration rights, but also every sub-account will be able to administer whether it's integrations or different type of templates or whatever the need is within the individual units. Those will be configured for that unit without having overall implementation or platform-wide access.
Great, thank you. Next question, what is the formal role of library in this process? It would seem that the stated goals of this transformation to technical infrastructure and innovation in teaching and learning should involve the library in explicit and integrated ways, given the advances and commitments to the 21st century information underway in the library.
I will just follow up that We've had conversations with Ginny on this. We've had conversations in terms of all the new things that the library is putting into place for teaching and learning support. We've had conversations about what levels of integration we need with the changes the library is doing in terms of the UCOP systems and so on. So we are, I don't say we've had all the conversations to know exactly what it is, but we're treating the library as a partner in the same way we're treating the deans as a partner in all of this. So the library is a full partner in this. We have library representatives on the governance committees. So I think that, again, if you have special concerns, please share them with us. But, you know, the library is built into the governance structure and into the planning.
All right, thank you. Next question, you indicated a timeline for faculty to get access to Canvas. When will support staff get access?
I believe that's this summer after the training that we will be offering starting June. And I don't know, Jennifer, you probably have a little more detail about the dates, but that's what I recall from the timeline.
Absolutely. So in mid-June, we're going to be putting together a communication with the training that's going to be available in advance of the access for all of our support staff across the different units. As Jeff mentioned earlier, we are working closely with each of the units right now to identify the LMS unit leaders, as well as faculty champions. As part of that effort, they'll be helping us to identify who are those support staff members that need to be a part of that training. And then you'll be folded into that entire effort that will start to roll out mid to late June. All right. I'll go ahead with the next question. Looks like Jeff may have started the answer, but I'll go ahead and read it out anyway. Who will be providing direct support to users of Canvas? Students, TAs, lecturers, professors, senate, faculty, etc.
I started and then didn't send it because I wanted to make sure that Lucy could tune my answer if I got it wrong. But the basic idea is that Canvas provides 24/7 support from the platform provider Instructure, which is a great benefit. So there'll be access to that support at any time through a chat, a kind of mix of a chat mechanism, phone call, email support, and so on, which will be supplemented by the training of the local units to accept support requests and central opportunities to submit support as well. And so part of the process that's going on now is not just the deployment of Canvas, but the design of that support structure that will give a kind of many different entry points, but a coherent way of getting support for the program. So Lucy can adjust it if I missed anything. But.
No, I think that was a great answer. And absolutely, we wanted to focus on the right support for UCLA. And we have a dedicated work stream that's working through identifying what that should be. And we will make sure that these recommendations are vetted by our governing groups for LMS. Like, I think the most exciting part, it'll be 24/7 support, including a chat, a phone call, email, whatever is comfortable, but then also the unit representatives will be trained to support as well.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, I know that my faculty have modified their courses throughout the year, and it was a shock for some of them. Are they willing to learn a new LMS and modify their courses again post-pandemic?
So I'll take the first stab at that. Having been involved in helping the faculty make those modifications, it's important to note that one of the reasons we're not starting fall quarter is because we still don't know quite what fall quarter is going to look like. And therefore we didn't want to have faculty have to make decisions for fall when they didn't know. It depends how big your class is, whether you're going to be teaching remotely or whether you're going to be teaching in person. And so we wanted to have both enough time and enough effort, enough energy on the part of the faculty to take advantage of, to not have to put themselves in a place where having to do something new in the fall. But the kind of silver lining of all of this is they'll be making a choice if they want to move back fully in person the way they always taught? Do they want to integrate certain of the things that they thought worked well in remote? Or as we have faculty who've decided they really want to just transform their remote courses into well-designed online courses. So that the lift and shift model is for those faculty who just need to not make any changes, that they're happy with whichever course they chose. And basically all they need to know is to build on what they learned during the pandemic to make CCLE work. That will just give them the hints on how does it work in Canvas. And that doesn't take a whole lot of training. We also assume that this is not a one-time only transformation, that many of the tools Canvas offers will be things that faculty will gradually want to take advantage of. So if you choose to do just the lift and shift, you can decide to take advantage of the tools in Canvas subsequently. That has to do with the support system that Lucy was mentioning. And if the faculty do want to make some substantial changes, and when I say faculty here, it's also how TAs are teaching and so on, that they will have the support of people who can, as many of them took advantage of during the pandemic, take advantage of what they learned and move that knowledge into Canvas, again, without putting an enormous amount of burden on the faculty. All of this is aimed to help avoid a change overload and to make this as less painful than it could be. We're also doing certain things in terms of making it easier for faculty. New faculty will all have the opportunity to start teaching in Canvas in the fall. We think it would be kind of a really unfortunate thing for faculty members who have to come to UCLA to have to learn CCLE and then turn around and learn Canvas. So the new faculty will have training opportunities and help in designing courses in Canvas. We've tried to be sensitive and we're trying to get as much information as possible. Where there are courses, I teach in the cluster program, and the cluster program, if you're not familiar with it, is really a 2-quarter lecture course followed by a seminar. So the cluster faculty will have the option of starting in Canvas in fall and then staying in Canvas in winter, or starting in CCLE, and then they will not be part of the migration to Canvas in the winter, so that the course has the LMS integrity associated with it. So all of those things are to try to avoid change overload and to make this move as painless as possible. But because of the broader scope of the move, it's a good time to be making this transition.
Okay, follow-up question to that. Why rush for winter 2022? That is an odd time to start. Can we make that happen for fall of 2022?
I think just to elaborate a little bit on what Jan said, I'm not sure I would think of it as a rush to 2022 as much as restarting a project that had been delayed. And the campus has been considering the move for some time. And as Jan mentioned, the tool had been vetted. And in fact, kind of the understanding of new modes and ideas about teaching and learning that came out from the pandemic and the process of remote teaching were some of the motivation for making the switch. And this conversation about why now is sort of an important and interesting one. And it would be good to dig into it maybe in another context or an offline chat. The reasoning for the winter start Jan described, in that we wanted to try to give somewhat of a breathing room around what exactly is going to be done in the fall and how much faculty are asked to do at that time. But the idea of providing access as early as possible, so the migrated courses in September, or actually at the beginning of September, is to be able to start that process as early as we can, but not necessarily move everything until the winter.
Thank you, Jeff. Next question, is there a contingency plan to delay this implementation if there is a pandemic resurgence in the fall or winter?
I can start and ask my colleagues to add if I miss anything. So CCLE is not being decommissioned. If we wanted to continue on CCLE, it's going to be there until we're successfully done with the implementation. So if anything goes wrong, we could always rely on that platform. Now, I also want to share with you that we believe most of this work can be done remotely. And we have spoken to numerous higher education institutions who implemented Canvas when COVID happened, and they did it very quickly within 4 to 6 months. And so, yes, we have a plan, but believe that there's a very small likelihood that we need to go to that contingency plan, and we will be successful doing this remotely.
All right, so we've worked through all of our questions in the chat. We'll just stay open here for just a minute longer in case there are any others.
There's one more that just came in, and I had responded to a question about how will people log into the system, and the answer is that it will be through the existing single sign-on mechanisms, and there's been some discussion about exactly how guest users will be onboarded and whether they need to register and obtain a UCLA logon ID or not. And I'll maybe let Lucy speak to the specifics of the question so that I don't get the details wrong, but I think there is a hoop to go through to get a UCLA logon ID, but it also provides a kind of coherent and consistent way for people to access UCLA resources. And so it's a pretty decent trade-off. Just thinking to guests in my own classes or people that come on, the trade-off seems pretty reasonable in return for the consistency of access methods. But Lucy, maybe we'll say something also about UC system students and so on.
I think you covered it. We have the single sign-on implementation integration that's in place now, and still defining what if any uniqueness is needed for this.
All right, so I don't see any other questions coming in the chat right now. I'll go ahead and I'll pass it back to our program owners to close us out.
Well, just want to say thank you for joining us this afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, we will have the slides and the recording available shortly after. And if you have any questions, please reach out to our contact email address and go to our website where we have extensive FAQs. Thank you again for your time and your helpful questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.